Hello, everyone. In today's video, I'm going to show you a complete tutorial on how I turned these vintage, I mean vintage, this is from like 1970-ish, photo frames. They used to put like high school graduation photos in these kinds of frames. And I came across one, a box full at a yard sale. So I picked them up to offer in the Etsy shop and to play with. So today I'm going to do complete tutorials on how I made these two. As you can see, I did my best to get everything ready for this project. And if you've done any of this at all, you know that can take some time finding all the little bits and pieces and making the decisions. And most of the time, if I'm doing this without a video plan, such as when I made this one, I was just winging it, just going like, well, what do I need next? What do I need next? What do I need next? So in this one, I used the fabric and I created, actually, I took some coloring pages from my sister-in-law does coloring and put them in with an elastic. So it became like a little notebook. But I thought, well, maybe it could be a really cool little portable coloring activity for those times where you've got a lot of waiting to do. It's small, it's compact, and these little folders are very sturdy. Perfect for doing something that's portable, but they're also thin, so you can't put a lot of pages in. So let's go over this though, because it came out nice. And the first thing I need to do is remove these picture frames. Now, of course, you could, as I said before, in one of the other segments, you can save these as is. You can do some covering on this, leave these in, and use it as a picture frame, right? But that's not what I'm going to do. So the first thing I want to do, and I'm just using a letter opener, is I want to coax these off. Now, I've had varying success. This one's going nice and easy. I've had varying success with getting these off. And this one came off very nice. We're going to use this in the next project. So let's see if we can get this one off as nice. I've used just my fingers to pull one off. I've used a couple of different tools. I find the letter opener to be the kindest, gentlest way. I think a long, um, like an X-Acto knife could work, but again, then you might be cutting into the paper even more. Here we go. Oh yeah, that one worked well. We have a little thing there, but that's all going to disappear. So no worries there. All right. So now that we've got this all clear, the next stage, we'll move some things out of the way. The next stage is to cover it. And I chose this fabric. It's colorful, it's fun, and being a coloring book, and I'll show you how to make the kit too. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this up. So let's speed up that process. I'm just going to put down some plastic to work with. And I'm going to put the glue on here, and I'm going to use the fabric glue, the really sturdy stuff. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this to the inside, but I'm just going to cut off the excess. I'm leaving a little extra there so we can have a nice neat corner. Okay, so what I've seen done is definitely to kind of pinch in that corner just a teeny little bit. I'm not sure. Just kind of pinch it in a little so that when it folds over, you have a really nice, neat corner. So just sort of pinch it in a little. Hold it over just a little bit. You might add a touch extra glue just to make sure, so that when it goes over, you see it's a nice, neat corner. Looks great. Okay, we'll do the other side. All right, so now we have that. Cloth is great on these because they are so narrow and it flexes, which in the next project you'll see what I mean by that. Now, the other thing that I want to do is I want to reinforce it on the inside, and I'm going to be putting these panels in here. And on this one, I did the panels and then I did this extra cloth. So both are great. Both are great. On this one, though, I'm going to add the cloth first and then add the inside panels. So I'm going to get that lined up and then just do it one half at a time so that I get it lined up nicely. All right, that's in. And make sure these are small enough. They're a little bit on the wide side. I'm gonna go trim those off. All right, I trimmed off 1/8 of an inch in both directions. This is good. We've got some nice gap here. I mean, we have to kind of limit the bulk with these folders because well, they're rather tight. So let's do those extra goodies we like to do. And I'm going to do some inking, but I am not going to do it with a brown or black. I'm going to do it with a dark blue. I mean, after all, this is about color, right? Yeah, I think that looks nice. Fun, playful. Okay, and glue them in place. Okay, so there's our folder. And which side is going to be right side up? I guess I'd like that one to be right side up. Yes. Okay. Now, something I probably should have a list for myself because one of the things that I tend to forget to do is to do the closure, figure out what the closure is before I do these inside panels, which is what happened with this one, is that I hadn't figured that out. And so I went ahead and made this little string wrap closure, but I hadn't thought about it beforehand. So I added like a little piece of paper to cover up the brad when I did it. So I still have a little trouble remembering to do that. So just keep that in mind because I'd already set up to have something. And then I forgot to do it before I put the panel in, but it's all right. It's all right. We'll just have some fun with it and and just go with what we've got. So, all right. So let's go ahead and do the closure. I punched out, now I have one of these and I punched out 3 of these and I grabbed a button. I had this lovely bright green button and I'm going to use some reinforcement labels to give it a little lift. So let's go ahead and assemble that. Kind of mark my center there. These are pretty skinny, so I think I'll put 3 of them on. And this button has two holes. So if that's the center, get my cushion out. So I'm just going to use a little thread to sew the button to the circle. So I've got some embroidery floss here, and I wanted to show you one of the tricks to sewing on. I decided I'd sew the button directly to the cover and make it kind of decorative. Now, one of the tricks of sewing on a button, in case you've never done any kind of seamstress work, is to put a little a needle between the threads that you're sewing on, and I haven't tightened this yet, but what that does is it creates a thread shank. And because I'm going to want to wrap a cord around this, I want to have a little bit of a gap for that thread to get around. Now, we can do that a variety of ways, but this works really well. This is a seamstress trick from long past. So I'm just going to go around 3 times with the embroidery floss. All right. So before I remove the needle, which is acting as a little shank lift, I will tie this off, but I want to leave that there so that I don't tighten it and lose that gap that I wanted. Okay. So what I can do in here is I can just make a little bitty bow. And snip that off. And so it's just kind of cute. You know, that could always be hidden, but hey, what the heck. So now I can take the needle out. I can try. Oh, yeah, it was really in there. Okay, let's put that away and let's put that other needle away. Super. All right, so now we're ready to add a piece of embroidery floss. The end is somewhere here. There we go. All right. So that slips under so nicely. Very, very easily. That's going to make it nice to actually use. Just tying a square knot with some extras. Now I could have 2 strands, but I'm thinking of just having 1. I'll just give myself a little extra. I can always cut off the extra, but I can't easily add any on. So this is ready for whatever you want to do with it, right? This is ready to, you can have this go around once, put some beads on here, make it really cute. And I might do that. But right now it's just a folio. And you can put note paper in here or whatever you want to do. And what I decided to do with this first one was, instead of sewing in a signature, because this makes such a nice little cover, and these folders are quite sturdy. So what I decided to do was just wrap an elastic around. Just a little bit of elastic, and make the pages removable, you know, in and out, in and out. And what's neat about that is this could be a perpetual, folio. So it could be purse size. It could go in the glove compartment of your car, I'm going to leave those long for the moment because I'm not sure if I have it tight enough. But with that elastic, I can just put things in and out, and it likes to sit in the fold quite nicely. So that is ready to go. And of course, you could add beads, you could have some fun with this. So I am just going to set this aside for a second and come back to what I'm going to fill it in, which is some coloring book pages. Now, as you can see, they are too tall. And I want them to still be, they're short enough this way. They have enough, their width is correct. These were 8.5 by 8. It was a coloring book I picked up at a yard sale, and I thought, oh, these will be really good for these kinds of projects. So what I want to do is I want to cut off the same amount from the top and the bottom so that the design pattern is still even. It all depends on what you're going to do, what kind of paper you're going to put in. But I want all of these patterns to be even on the top and the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to go cut those, and I'll be right back. So there we have it. I cut them evenly, top and bottom, as near as I could figure it. I'll just put them together. So this is both a coloring activity and a notebook. It is both. But how easy is that? I have seen some of the YouTube presenters do this, and I just think it's ideal for this situation. Okay, well, I think I have that elastic about right. So I'm just going to trim off most of that excess, and this is ready to go. And of course, I could do a little extra trimming on the edge, but I go, no, this is a very casual thing. And you can take these pages in and out, rearrange them, color them, and then put them back or not, or whatever. But this is a very easy thing to add to. Now, for the coloring kit, and this is something that I do, I was looking at possibilities. So this is a little package, this little clear plastic package. I think it was some kind of gum that my husband used to chew. And so you'll need a little pencil sharpener. But these little pencils, I got these at Michael's arts and crafts stores. And they have these little pencils. And then I was looking for something that would work well for this particular kit that I'm putting together. And I went, wow, they are perfect. You just add a little finagling there and it all fits. And it's perfect. You could just have this and this. You could even do something like this, and take it with you. You could take it with you. You could put this in a pouch as well. And, there's a lot of these kinds of pouches available. Now, this is one of my little travel pouches, and I have a little pouch within a pouch. So I have a little sketchbook, couple of little sketchbooks, and in here I have a nice art pen and a few more of those pencils, a couple of big pencils, a couple of art pens. So these little pencils could fit inside that pouch, and you could put the coloring book in that pouch, and you are ready to go. This is just something you can take with you, and it doesn't take up any space at all. Or you could just have a little box like this. But what if you don't have a little box like this, right? Well, it's really easy to find these kinds of little pouches, little zipper pouches. Toss that in there. And it's a technical term, right? So you could easily just have these. Here's your little kit. Now, you could add a little stubby pencil. You could add a pen in here, and it would be for notes. It could be for coloring. So I hope this gives you a few ideas. You don't have to have these. This is how it started, You don't have to have one of these. You could do this with, anything, your cereal box covers or anything like that. This is just kind of a nifty little thing that I wanted to figure out what I could do with these great little folders. So this is the coloring book idea. Okay? So, I'll do something more with this little thread thing and I'm sure your mind is swimming with some ideas as well. So there's some pencils, there's a coloring book. It's ready to go. On to the next project. For this project, I started out the same as previous project. And this one, again, we want to remove the frame. And I can see with this one, it's going to be just a teensy bit more problematic. So I'm going to start on the other side, see if I can get it to cooperate just a little bit better. Now it wants to separate. That's all right. We'll finagle it. It's going to get covered up, so it's not a terrible thing if it's not perfect. So yeah, some of that card came off, but we can tidy up this part and it's all going to get covered. So not a problem. All right, let's see if we can get this one to come off nicer. Ooh, the glue's a little stickier on this one. All right, well, we'll just go with it. And we will cover all that up. So on this one, what I did was I covered it with tissue paper. And certainly this would be a great thing to do as a collage kind of project, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. So now I have 2 from that other project and 2 from this project. And this is what we're going to do, is making specimen cards, really large ones. And I pulled out of my stash, I had an envelope full of these really nice die cut butterflies. So I need 2 of each. And I watched a gal do this, and I'll see if I can find it and I'll put it in the description box. And I thought, well, that would be a really cool thing to do with this. And that's how this one evolved. So that you have, and I use leaves in this one. So I last fall I pressed some leaves, and you can see, hopefully there's not too much glare there, but I sandwiched it between 2 of these frames and put in just 1 sheet of thin scrapbook paper. So it would create a backing through the window. And then this one looks nice against and this is rubber stamped. I rubber stamped the paper before I put it in. And let's see, I think with that one, yeah. This one I cut one big sheet and went all the way across the folder. So the spine is reinforced by this extra piece of paper, but I rubber stamped all of this and this, and that's how it came out. And if somebody wanted to write notes in here, it's just sort of an observation of fall, write a poem. Wouldn't that be cool? So I just sewed it in place, 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and I went through the ribbon. So the ribbon is attached. So I sewed right through the ribbon. Speaking of napkins, that's what that is. That's a napkin. And I'll show you what I did there. A friend and I are doing a Happy Mail swap with napkins, and I just got her Happy Mail, and she included this pretty napkin. And I already have a few napkins that have oranges and on them in a very different style. So There's going to be a junk journal that's going to feature citrus, I guess. Won't that be fun? And then she sent me this beauty. I mean, isn't that gorgeous? And I'm working on collecting a bunch of stuff. I collect things in boxes so that I have kind of component parts for journal themes. And I have a Western theme going, and I think I'm just about ready to make that one. And I have an ocean theme, ocean and beach, and I have garden. And garden, oh my goodness, I've got lots of stuff in the garden. So I've got birds and butterflies and flowers and all sorts of good things. And she sent me this, and isn't that marvelous? So this will be used in the garden journal. All right. So let's get started with this one. And the first thing, so I have, this is just one of those plastic bags from buying a product, and it's perfect for this project. It's that clear, thin plastic, so that's going to be perfect for this project. I have a little strip of fabric. You'll see what happens with that. But first, let's go ahead and cover our folder, and I'm using this, I just so happen to have butterfly napkin. And the first thing I need to do is take it down to one layer. We're going to come back to the blue paper. So let's start here. All right. I need to decide how I'm going to do this. Hmm. I think what I'm going to do, because this doesn't quite cover and then they go upside down, I think what I'm going to do is align this at the top, and with the fold in the napkin on the hinge, and then I'm going to use some washi tape strip across the bottom. I haven't done that before, but I think that will look nice. And I want to preserve that these butterflies are all upright. So that is my cutting plan. And I like to use Yes Glue. I'm going to be using a combination of things for this, which I shall explain. All right, so I've got my water. I've lined this up. Now fold that back. I don't want the brush sopping wet. So I work just a teensy bit of water in with this Yes Glue. It's a paste, and it's nice because it doesn't wrinkle paper as much as, say, the PVA mixture, but it's also can be reactivated. So that was something that I found out with the other one that I was able to solve. I'm going to try something here. The other one cracked when I folded it, so I'm going to start by folding the folder and laying the napkin over so that it wraps around this curve, and that might work better. All right, now that that's there, so there'll be a little pucker here, but that's okay. Now I can finish pasting it up. Just bring it back a skosh. There we go. Yeah, so we got a little extra there. Aha. It's okay to have a little extra because then it can fold. Okay. I think I'll cut off just a little bit more of that. I think that washi tape idea is going to work. Oh, all right. So I need to let that dry. And I am going, while that is drying, I'm going to cut these papers. Now, what I decided to do was the same as the the other the other one. And I looked at these butterflies, so I'll just grab one of those. I'll try it. And so I was looking at these two different papers. I was looking for papers in general. So what what color would look nice with the butterflies? And I'm not going to change the frame panel's color. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So I wanted to see what would look nice with these butterflies. And I thought this kind of sky blue was very pretty. And when I tried it with the dark blue, I go, well, that's nice too, but I like this, and I also like that it's a light color, so it could actually be written on. So again, I'm going to fold it in half, cut it to size, and it would be some available writing space or not. Because remember, these folders were intended to sit on a desktop or on a bookshelf or something like that and display photos. So they were meant to just sort of sit open, which would work great if you were having specimen cards, right? So that's what I'm going to do. This is going to be on the inside, and this is going to be the panels that go in here. And I'm going to go see what kind of washi tape I have. I'll be back. All right, I think most of what I need. I cut my paper and got it folded. I have some ribbon ready. So I want to think about closure. And I went looking in my washi tape. I don't have a huge amount, but I did find these two. And this one is wide enough, but I don't know. I don't know. It just isn't quite working for me. But this one has got the right colors. And I thought, well, but it's very narrow, so it doesn't come up. So do I want to cover this bottom? And I think I do. So what I decided I'm going to do is I took the napkin, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit and wrap it around, and then cover this side with the washi tape, and the other side will just look like the rest of the back side. So that is my plan, and I'm going to go with that. So let's get the paste going again. And so the washi tape will cover up this join. And I think it'll look just fine. There's more than one way. Yahoo, you always have other options. And I want to remember, I want to keep it folded. So this is tricky. I need 3 hands, right? Ooh. All right. You know, there we go. Okay, let's cut off the extra. Let's see how this goes. Ooh. I think it's going to work. Ta-da. Okay, so we got this little seam, but we have a plan. We know we're going to cover that up. All right. So the next thing is to install this. I want to round the corners. Rounding the corners helps to prevent it from lifting, which is a good thing. I do want to ink it while that's doing its drying. And I'm using black because there's a lot of black in the butterfly designs. Aha, there is one other thing I think I can do. So let's get this, and then I shall go take a look at something. I have another idea. You know how that is. You you keep going, and then before you know it, this new idea comes in, and that's the beauty of just going for it. You just start playing, and as your play evolves, and all sorts of things pop into your mind. I just had this idea. All right. I'm going to go take a look-see. I'll be right back. Okay. I have some butterfly stamps from Butter Side Down. So I will link them. They have these really nice butterfly stamps. I know Tim Holtz has some. What he has is he also has some fossils, which are very cool. I used some of his fossils in my primitive journals that are available on my Etsy shop. But he has these really, really cool fossils and shells. And he's got a lot of other things, so you just have to go check it out. But at any rate, let's see what we've got here because we have some. I just kind of want to. I'm thinking I want just a subtle sort of design in the background. So these are 3 different sizes. Let's go with those. We don't need a lot. We don't need a lot. So let's set that aside, get the cover on it. Okay. And so I've got my acrylic block. Now, what color do I want to use? Now, I don't want it to interfere with seeing these butterflies. So I think what I will use, and I have a scrappy bit, so let's grab that. It's always good to test things. So let's start with the big one. And I'm going to try a midnight blue because I want this to be subtle. I'm thinking I don't want to distract from the specimen cards that I'm going to make. All right, so let's see. This is midnight blue. Let's see how this looks. All right. Well, I think that might be subtle enough. Let's see. If you put this in front of it, yeah, that pops off as it's got the contrast. This is more. This is ah, what's the word? uh, monochromatic. Yay! That was the word I was looking for. Okay, so being more monochromatic, let's just put just a little bit of this, not a huge amount. Maybe 3. Put 1 bridging the gap there. Okay, let's go with the medium-sized one. I'm kind of thinking about where this little guy is going to go at the same time. I don't want to overdo it. So let's see how the little guy goes. Oh yeah, that's subtle. That's nice. Let's see. Hmm. Don't overthink it, right? And these are on opposite sides, so you're not going to see both. Just make it fit in the space nicely. All right. Well, that's all right. Let's put one there. Just let this guy be the, add a little fill to it. Enough? Yes, that's enough. All right. There we have our monochromatic background, subtle background. How is this looking? It's got a lot of contrast. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. All right. Time for paste up. Now we're going to need a nice goopy wad of it. This does dry quickly. I don't want to get any of this on there. Very good. Really make sure that it is down in there. It adheres very quickly. Okay. Be a little more careful on this side. I know I could put a piece of paper in between. I'm just not reaching for any to put in between. So I'll just get a little paste on my fingers. I don't mind. All right. There we go. Now I want this to both lie flat and fold. So that looks nice. Okay, so now that I have got that, one of the things I was thinking of trying with this these folders was to add pockets, and I actually cut out a couple of pockets when I was working on this one, and it just added too much bulk for these folders. It just didn't work for me. A little too much bulk. Okay, so now that we have that, I want this to dry a little bit more, and then what I'm going to do, and I'll do it off camera, is I'm going to put a layer of Mod Podge over the top of this napkin, because the napkin is both fragile, even though it's been pasted down really well, and you can kind of see it. It doesn't crinkle really much at all with the yes paste on a smooth surface. So if you use the PVC, you get a lot more of that textural crinkling, and that's something to think about. So with this one, I just thought, well, I'm just going to use the yes paste because I really like it, and it is a very stick flat glue, as it says. So we're going to let this dry a little bit, and then I'm going to Mod Podge it. I think I'll put the washi tape on first. I think so, because the washi tape, then the Mod Podge will help hold that down. So let's get that in there. Yeah, see how it bridges, and I can leave just that little bit of a gap. And it too needs to turn the corner. I can't leave it there too long because that paste will start sticking to itself on the inside. So it's very pretty. The funny thing is, you know, it looks like flowers, but it's flamingos. But it's the right color. Isn't that fun? That's all right. I don't mind flamingos. So, all right. So we're going to let this dry, and then I'm going to Mod Podge it. But while we are waiting for that to get done, we'll make the specimen cards. While we're waiting for glue to dry, I was checking out my transparency and it was marred. So I grabbed some other bit of packaging. Now we're going to use that. And here's my 4 picture frames. So what I want to do this time is I do want to ink these and just give them a little bit of separation from the blue background, just a little more separation. Okay, so take your time when you're doing that because it's not like you have a whole lot of these extra frames. So just go slow. All right, so here we go. What we need to do is I'm going to cut off this hole. And I want to cut it to the right height. Be very careful about that so I don't skimp. All right. And I want to cut off just a narrow little bit here. Okay. There we go. Now the way I did the leaf was that I have transparency on both sides. So a leaf is 1 unit. With these butterflies, I have a choice. I can sandwich them in between, or I can put one on the outside and one on the inside. No, that seems like too much margin for error. I think I'm going to sandwich. Well, no, then the thing is, I don't want glue showing. I think I'm going to try the sandwich with the butterflies. So that means I can cut this apart and use one sheet in one of these frames and one sheet in the other. All right, I'm just going to go for it. I am just going to go for it. So the first thing is don't worry about the butterflies because that's where this little piece of cloth comes in. So the first thing is, yes, that's what I'm going to do. So the first thing is I'm going to mount the piece of acetate, clear plastic into, yeah, I did it once, so I know I can do it again. All right. So I'm not going too close to the frame edge on the inside because I don't want any of this glue to appear out the side. Okay. So very, very careful here. You know, it's hard because it's transparent. So it can be a little tricky lining it up because you can't hardly see it, especially with all this light. Okay. So now before I put this frame on top, these 2 frames need to be hinged. So that's where the cloth comes in. So let's just go ahead and do this one. It'll make more sense. Now we can do them at the same time. Yes, that's a good idea. We're going to do that. Okay, this is going to work. So what we need, all right, I haven't done the Mod Podge on this yet. So what we need is to line these up. I think I need clips. What we need to do is make sure these things don't move and get it right the first time. It seems, maybe it seems a little complicated, but it really isn't. So then we have this is our hinge. This is what's going to get sewn in. Okay, that's too wide. All right, so let's trim that down. This is what is going to get sewn in. All right. That will work. So again, I only want to do half of it at a time. Putting the clips on really, really helps. Okay. And we don't want to put any glue down here because we're not, we're going to sew it in. I suppose, if I like, oops, if I like where it is, I could glue it all the way in. What an interesting concept. I hadn't thought of that before. Let me see. Do I want to do that? Huh. Oh, well, if, we don't try things, we don't find out. I'm going to be brave here. I'm going to put a bead of glue right through the middle. I'm going to be brave. Ah, da, da. Oh, golly. It should work, right? It should work. We're going to make it work. One thing's for sure, it'll really anchor it down. Let me get my bone folder. I don't want to be too tight with it, but I don't know, why not? Right? Let's see what happens. I'll just sort of do it all at once because the paper that I'm going to put in between, that's going to get sewn in, and this will get sewn in. The glue wouldn't hold it permanently anyway. So let's get our cloth on. When I did the leaves, just as a little side note, I put the acetate on both sides, and then I put just the tiniest little bit of glue, a little bit on the veins, just a little teeny bit on the veins. So then I was able to position it just like I'm, here, what I'm going to do with the butterflies, except that the leaf is sandwiched between two layers. And in this case, I'm doing something different because these aren't leaves, they're pieces of heavy cardstock. So that should be just fine. Now that I have this anchored, I'm going to go ahead and put the other side on. Here we go. And make sure you've got the wide part on the bottom. It isn't done very often, but the old convention, which still is very attractive, is when you do a mat, it looks nice when it's a little bit wider at the bottom than it is at the top. And it's one of those visual illusion kinds of things. If the bottom is the same width as the top, the bottom winds up looking narrower. It's just one of those bizarre optical illusions. And but this was definitely one of the old styles that was done all the time, is whenever you cut a mat, you cut the bottom to be a little bit wider than the top. I do think it is going to work. Make sure nothing's untoward happening over here. I think that's going to work. Good, good, good. So clean off our glue bottle here. It does like to ooze. Okay. Yeah, normally I would have done the whole Mod Podge thing first, but I think it's going to be just fine. Because once this glue dries, I can do Mod Podge. I can do the Mod Podge. It'll work fine. I'm just not going to sew in the other page yet. Okay, so now we can make a decision as to how we want to arrange these butterflies. And they're going to be both sides, so that's good. And which one goes where? Oh, yes, and before I put these in, they do have the white edges, so I do want to do a little bit of inking. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm doing the back side on this because when I line up the two die cuts, I kind of noticed that maybe the alignment wasn't absolutely perfect. It's very, very tight, but yeah, it's like now I don't see any of the back side. It's I just taking an extra precaution. That's all. So I have decided I'm going to do that. That one with that one. And that one with that one. Okay. So let's see, I'm making, yeah, nothing is sticking that shouldn't be sticking. Good. I think we're done with that. All right. So now it's like very precise, right? Very precise. Whew. Here goes. All right. So wipe that off. We don't want any extra goopiness, right? So once these are, we want to get them where we want them. The second ones will be a little easier. But let's get these where we want them. Okay. There we go. Very, very careful. Come on, there we go. And I'm actually not going too close to the edge. It gives me just a skosh of wiggle room, which, it's like when you're hovering a rubber stamp over a spot. You don't have a skosh of wiggle room. But with these, see, I can still wiggle it just a teensy little bit. All right, one down. So you just want to take your time. This isn't something you want to do in a big hurry, right? We're here to enjoy ourselves anyway. All right, very, very careful here. Let's see. Looking to the left, to the right, to the top, to the bottom. Have those margins be the same. Have just the tiniest bit of wiggle room. That worked. Okay. Take a deep breath. Let it go. All right. Now, for the other side. Actually, to avoid distraction, I'm going to put this blue sheet in. That way I don't see the butterflies on the other slide. And I'm turning it over and manipulating it away from this because I've been known to drop things. So I want to drop it on something I can clean, All right, so now we want to line this up very, very well. Pretty good. Okay. Yep, that's the one. I've never made these sorts of things before, these specimen slides. for the leaves, I especially liked that because with the leaves, I love collecting leaves in the fall. And but it's like there's what do you do with it? You've collected it, I've pressed it. So what do I do with it? And these specimen slide things are really cool, especially if you get a really nice, colorful, well-shaped leaf. It's so nice. So look at that. Ta-da! How about that? All right, same on this side. These are pretty die cuts. I got, as so many things that I have got in my stash, these were at a thrift store. And you just never know what you are going to find at thrift stores. It's pretty amazing sometimes. I'll tell you, after the fire, it was a lot of fun to go around to thrift stores and find all kinds of wonderful things to replace in our home. And many of these things that now grace our home are better than what we had before. I mean, a fire is a really tragic thing, but you can find there can be good things that come from it, which sounds pretty strange, but indeed, look at that. Now, if that's sitting up on a table, I know it's the wrong angle for the camera, but golly, that's sitting up on a table. That's really pretty. Woohoo. So it makes me wonder, do I even want to add this to the middle? Right? Maybe not. Let's just trim off. Let's trim off this fabric. It's almost like I don't need to sew it in. I mean, that glue is holding it in the hinge so well. I mean, this is the way it was supposed to be displayed with somebody's photo or a couple of photos in it. But isn't that pretty? Huh. I am going to think on that because I don't think I want to add this to the middle of it. I really don't. I think I'm going to skip that idea entirely because it'll want to open up like that. Um, those are pretty. Okay. So the only thing left to do with this one is I am going to Mod Podge it just because napkins are fragile and I want to make sure it stays sealed down. And I will protect my inserts, I'll just wrap something around them. And if that glue is holding in the hinge area, I'm not going to do anything else. Okay. Experiment done. I have 1.5 more things to show you. So in the process of editing, I realized I've already gone over an hour, even with all the cuts and the speed ups and everything like that. So let's just draw this one to a conclusion. We can come back to it another time if necessary. Anyway, so what you saw is that I took some vintage, and I do mean vintage, 1970-ish. I remember in high school, when we had the high school graduation photos, we got photos in these kinds of folders. So these were very common. Anyway, I got the box full and they do smell musty. Full disclosure, I am offering some in my Etsy shop because I have so many and I'll bundle them so that, we can maximize the postage cost and all that good stuff. Anyway, I got these little ones, got tons of those, got some big ones. What can you do with these big ones? Well, for both of these, you could do them exactly for what they were intended. I'm going to put them, I'm going to put some kind of citrus smell or lavender or something like that in the box of them so we can kind of get that mustiness smell out of them. And that's something that you can do too. But that's another reason to cover them up. Um, I have found with the ones that covered the outside and then I let it sit for a couple of days and went, it's mostly the outside that has that musty smell. So anyway, we've got the big ones and the little ones, and they are perfect for what they were originally intended. However, They're rather bland, aren't they? Oh, excuse me. They are rather bland, aren't they? So I I wanted to do something with a big one, and they hold an 8 by 10. So this is just acrylic paint. That's all it is. Just painted the outside with acrylic paint. And I thought, what should I do? Well, I was teaching art classes to some of the neighborhood kids, and one of the girls gave me some of her art, which, is so sweet. And I thought, well, how cool would this be? Kids could collage and paint the outside. You could do the remove and replace like I did with these little guys on the inside, but they wind up being these great little insert pieces that they could change out their art. It could be great for bookshelves or shelves or whatever, just to display their art. I mean, that would just be so cool. And so the kids could be involved in their own display piece. This also 8 by 10. Perfect, right? So if they did little art, that would work for that too. So just wanted to show you the big ones. Let's review what we did here. We'll start with this little prototype that actually I think is a fun idea because with the elastic on it, you can take pages in and out and it's very sturdy. So it would make a great portable little folio that you could take pages in and out. And I just used my sister-in-law's coloring just to check it out, see what it would be like. But this is just a great notebook, and that's how I'll use it. So there was that one, but then I wanted to take it to another level. And you can see I upgraded it. I found I had these pretty pony beads. I think that's what they're called. And it's this yellow ribbon. I like that so much better than that purple embroidery floss. It didn't stand out. But they match all of these great colors. And I just tied it so that I left a long tail for that one and then let that be the wrap around. It just came out so cute and pretty. And these can be colored. Other pages can be put in. Again, it's a portable thing. I think this came out really well. And obviously you don't need to buy these particular folders to do this. You can make your own and do the same thing. You just want to be very sturdy with the cardboard. This elastic is not so tight that it's pressing down and it's just staying really well. It's not an issue as far as some people make these pages shorter and they put eyelets on either end. Great. That's also great. So I'm not finding I need it. So if you have a sturdy enough cardboard base, and with this cloth cover on it and everything, it's it's sturdy. Trust me. And then I wanted to experiment on this one. I want to show you that when I did the tissue paper, no, napkin, serviette, collage on this, I didn't fold it over when I wrapped the napkin over the top. So I wound up with this cracking and I could put some washi tape over it. I could even unsew it, put the washi tape over it, reinforce that spine to get rid of that cracking, and then resew it. And I think that's what I'll do. Uh, but I did sew the ribbon in so that it doesn't go anywhere. And I like how it came out. These are real leaves, so having them sandwiched between the two panes of clear plastic worked out great. It could be it could be the mini notebook again, or it could be just for a fall poem. I could take this out, and again, it could just be a display piece, just like what we did with the butterflies, as it turns out. You have all these multiple ideas and you got to run with them. So I might take this page out, I'll take the sewing out, I'll fix the spine. And again, here we have a couple of leaves as just a pretty display piece with the rubber stamped end papers. I think it came out really well, and I definitely learned something about doing this kind of collaging. And then this one, because of that experience, came out nice. We have no cracking whatsoever. I could sew in this and it would be just fine. The washi tape, wrapping it around. I've Mod Podged it, so it's nice and sturdy. And the way this worked out was so cool of just gluing it in place. It's completely secure. It makes a really beautiful display piece. it'd be something, you might want to think about between the leaves or all of these wonderful chipboard butterflies and various things that are available these days. Wow. Um, I'm very happy with how it came out. I'm going to offer this for sale in my Etsy shop in case you're interested. I've got lots of these butterflies. I can do this again. And yeah, so there we have it. This is, I hope you're inspired. Obviously, you can make your own frames. You could do this with something you already have in your stash. I hope you're inspired. I thank you so much for watching. I'm going to put up a list now of some of the ideas that I had, and you can screenshot that um, and try this for yourself. This is my fave. I'm just saying, well, I love how this all came out. I love how this concept came out. So, and I have more of this fabric, so I'm going to make a big journal with this fabric and just lots of color. So I hope you're inspired. Thank you for watching. I look forward to your comments, and please do like if you like it. You know how it goes. All right, that's all from me, and see you in my next video.